everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sports View. I'm Ron Cameron. Unfortunately, Bob Page is back. Go ahead.
I guess I should remind everybody that I'm Bob Page.
Yeah. You
realize, ladies and gentlemen, we're rapidly approaching our 5-year anniversary, believe it or not, of Sports View today. I have now been off this show for the first time since we've had it for nearly a month for various reasons, all legitimate excuses. And it was wonderful.
Why?
Imagine.
How many bars did you hit when you were off?
Being away.
How many bars did you hit?
I didn't see this guy for a month. Can you imagine
How many bars did you hit? I heard you were just drunk or no.
I was on vacation in Florida. I for a little while, I hit a few. There's no question about that.
Maybe grandfather pretty soon, too. Maybe grandfather Page pretty soon?
I drink to forget.
Come on.
I drink to forget.
You may be a grandfather pretty soon?
My daughter, Kelly, is 18 years old, and she's becoming a young woman.
Yeah,
and
times two.
It'll be hard to take, but one thing, Ronnie.
Grandfather Page.
One thing, Ronnie, at least I don't look like a grandfather.
You don't?
Right. Now, can we go ahead and get to these sponsors?
Only his hairdresser knows. You want to see him go to his hairdresser.
Al Dietrich, Oldsmobile and GMC Truck.
Is he still around?
Yes, and he wants to remind everybody that they not only have special rebate offers, but special finance offers on all 1989 Oldsmobiles. We've got David Lee Roth and the folks at Cattleman's Meat Center still doing business and doing well, both in the Eastern Market area of Detroit and in Hamtramck. There used to be, was there a magazine or something?
Yes, there is a magazine.
What was that called?
You better know. Pays you.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what to do with all the money there. I promise not to spend it every month.
Yeah, let me tell you this, folks, also, that the fact is that I kept this guy alive for a while when he had no money. Before he went to New York, no money. Sports Fans Journal is going strong. We'd like to have you subscribe. Call this number 24 hours a day for info, 751-1818.
We still have the Sting. John Rouser, Esley Thomas and Company, one of Detroit's hottest night spots in the old Playboy Club. That's at the Lodge and Greenfield. Binary Computers, Woodward at 12 Mile in Berkeley. Top Hat Hamburgers. And don't forget, they have a new location for Ron Cameron. And
that's where you go all the time.
M59
don't
Telegraph.
Anything else,
best little burger in town. Past the Pro-Am Sports Systems, and Fred Wetzel and the folks at T-Com Pager. If you're a busy corporate executive like Ron Cameron, you need a pager from T-Com. Well,
binary
much
computers.
Stuff. I mentioned binary computers.
Did he? I don't think.
Unbelievable.
Well, it's binary computers on Woodward and 12 Mile.
It's bad enough you look like a grandfather. Now to see the mind actually go to total mush is very distressing to me all the years I've known you. All right, now, many, many things that have occurred since I've last been on this program. I'm sure you were obnoxious in your harangue of Bob Probert.
Well, I just told the truth. I said,
as you see
I don't think that a dumber thing has ever happened in sports. This guy, if you're going to smuggle something across the border, you're going to take something across the border, you don't leave open beer cans and liquor bottles. He's asking for help.
It was so dumb. It was obviously the kid's asking for help.
Either that or he's just too stupid.
No, that's not the case.
Well, I don't know that's not the case.
5 o'clock in the morning, obviously intoxicated to begin with. Open beer cans in the car.
Your mind plays games with
cocaine. The kid's asking for help. And I just feel very, very sorry, as I would about any human being. Feel very, very sorry, especially because he's trashed what was a promising hockey career, and I don't know that he'll ever be back in the game.
Speaking of trash, what about his Windsor attorney, this Ducharme or Duchesne or whatever his name is? Ducharme is Duchesne. Can you believe the statements he's making? He should have helped his client to begin with, and maybe he wouldn't be in that situation. Instead of coming at the NHL when they did the right thing, bar the guy. He has no business playing.
Did they?
Well, in a roundabout way, they did. In a roundabout way.
What's Bob Probert been convicted of?
It didn't have to be convicted. We're not talking about jail. We're talking about a privilege to play in the NHL.
Yeah, he hadn't been convicted of anything.
I don't care. He doesn't have to be convicted.
Well,
he was caught with cocaine.
I do think this. The NHL. His agent is right in one sense. The NHL ought to have some kind of.
I agree with that. Sure, but he's wrong on these other statements.
Absolutely. Ducharme should have said, "Look, we got to get this young man help, and it'd be best for me to keep my mouth shut." But agents sometimes have difficulty.
Agents are losers, as far as I'm concerned.
I see that even Stevie Yzerman is now controversial since last we've done this show.
Michel, your boy.
Michel Bergeron. The Rangers came in tonight and accused Yzerman of being the biggest diver in the National Hockey League today. Very, very
And he said he's not in the same league as...
Not in the same league. I would dispute that. I think he's definitely in the same league with Wayne Gretzky.
I think Michel Bergeron is not in the same league as some of these people either.
Michel Bergeron's a good coach. Well, he's gotten a lot out of that team.
You say he's gotten a lot out of the team. D. LaFleur's about your age, isn't he? About 50.
He is exactly my age, in
50.
fact. Yeah, you're right, 50. But at any rate, he's gotten a lot out of that team this year. The rumors in New York now that his job may be in trouble. A lot of pressure on that organization.
Esposito is not an easy guy to get along with.
He and Phil Esposito don't get along that well.
He doesn't even get along with Bob Page, Esposito, does he?
Well, he sometimes has difficulty, I guess, being in New York. But, more than Yzerman's controversial thing the other night, I think that, the Wings have been a disappointing team this year. You look at them now as we tape this program, what are they, 3 games over 500, lost at Toronto the other night.
In Minnesota, they played terrible against Minnesota, or against Minnesota, Sid would say. they've been a disappointment, but with what's happened, I can see where they would be a disappointment, because you don't lose a guy like Bob Probert, who was an all-star last year, and Peter Klima,
Yeah.
and problems like that. The one thing that disturbs me about the Red Wings is their defensive. It just doesn't seem, the intensity doesn't seem to be, mostly from the forwards as opposed to the defensemen. But they're seemingly, they're two playing, Sid would say, loosey-goosey. They just they're just not playing close to the vest, and you're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs like that. And they could get knocked off by Chicago. By picking the Red Wings to get out of the Norris Division, but they go against Edmonton or Calgary, they're done.
If they don't get out of that Norris Division, I wonder if there are going to be some panic buttons pressed on
No,
them.
I don't think so.
I wonder.
I think they're just going to put this off as a year, and rightfully so. I don't think there should be any panic.
I think they
buttons.
got rid of too much veteran leadership too quickly.
I agree with you there. I think they missed the leadership on the ice. The Harold Snepps, and who's done a nice job in
Doug
Vancouver.
Hallward.
Doug Hallward, to a lesser extent, too, who's done a good job in Edmonton in the games that I've seen
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. There were some deals in the National League, as Sid would say, last week. Dino Ciccarelli finally wore out his welcome in Minnesota.
Finally, he's
now
been
with
wearing out his welcome
Washington.
for 6 years, 7
well,
years.
they just got rid of him now.
That's a trade that could help Washington. Washington has a lot of, as Sid would say, offensive defensemen. We're using Sid quite a bit for a guy that's retired. Offensive defensemen. And they got a guy, the kid that they got from Minnesota, is pretty solid in his own zone. Then they get a guy that, if he plays his cards, if he really wants to play, is one of the best pure goal scorers in the NHL. And I'm talking about Ciccarelli. They gave up a good player in Gardner. They gave up a very good goal scorer there. But I think overall, and they gave up a good offensive defenseman in Murphy. But I think that overall that Washington got the best of the deal, and Washington could be a little bit of a surprise in the playoffs. They usually fall flat on their face.
Minnesota hadn't had a clue for years. One of the best lines I've seen recently came from one of the New York writers. He was talking about it's a shame Lou Nanne's not there anymore, because Nanne was the only NHL general manager with an 800 telephone number, toll free. I mean, the guy's making trades left and right all the time. Ken Reggett goes to the Flyers for 2 #1 draft choices. Guy's not even healthy right now. Okay, he's not playing. And the minute he goes there, they spell Hextall with Mark LaForce, former Red Wing. Anybody see that? And LaForce played really well, at least on Saturday.
LaForce's done a pretty solid job in the few times that he's been
Strange
played.
deal for the Flyers.
Philadelphia is going to be a real team to look out for in the playoffs, in my opinion, because Hextall's going to have to. They need to put a needle in Hextall's derriere to get him going, because he's got to move his game up a notch. If he does that and Kerr healthy, they could be something in the playoffs. In fact, I look for him to get out of this conference.
Philadelphia has got a player that I would love to have on my team. And if you think that Bob Probert best combined toughness and talent in the NHL,
Who said that? I never said that.
a lot of people think that.
Well, a lot of people
don't
know what they're talking about.
I'll give you a guy who I think best combines toughness and talent, Rick Tocchet. Got 37 goals this year, doesn't back down from anybody.
Not as tough as Probert, but he's a much
He's a better hockey player.
Better player,
yeah,
much
no question
better
about
player
that.
than Probert.
And Kelly Rudy goes from the Islanders, a depressing situation there, when only Pat LaFontaine's really had a good year for the Islanders, to the Kings. That could help Los Angeles.
Well, Los Angeles made some good trades. I like the trade they made with Boston. It was a few weeks before that.
Getting Jay Miller?
Getting Jay Miller, Casper, the heart of the Bruin team. The Bruins has been, you talk about a disappointment. In my opinion, the Bruins they can't win at home, and there may be a panic, but Pierre Riley could be out as coach at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I like Rudy in Los Angeles. Los Angeles has made 3 pretty good trades, but I still think that they lack a little punch on the blue line.
And Calgary to win the Cup.
Defensive
still.
punch.
Calgary to win the Cup? They're awfully good, aren't they?
They are good. Talent-wise, it should be Calgary, as Sid would say, and Montreal. But my pick, and this is a weak pick, but I'm going to go on the limb and pick Edmonton to get out of the conference, playing Philadelphia for the Stanley Cup.
That is a weak pick, but it's like
well,
all, it's like all your
it's a
stuff
tough
on this
pick.
show.
It's a tough
Very
pick.
weak, pal. Very weak.
Did I
Now,
give you this?
We want to get.
Did I give you? Hold on a minute, fella. Did I give you the NFL champion at the start of the season when I said San Francisco?
The NFL champion
Yeah,
at the start
the
of the
Super Bowl
season?
champion?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, all right
I remember
then.
that. That was the night you went out and got drunk in a bar. You put a blindfold on and threw darts at the dartboard and it hit San Francisco,
No,
right? And that's what you
Frisco had
did. People ought to see. You got to see this guy before the show. He's sitting there looking at the brackets. Has no idea who's even in the NCAA tournament.
I know who's in the
playing where,
NCAA.
Who's going to win?
We'll
talk about that later.
Yeah,
we got to
sure
talk
will.
about the Piston trade. And before we close this segment on hockey, I just want to say again, congratulations to a guy who doesn't get the publicity he should. He has just done a fantastic job over the years. Ron Mason at Michigan State has his
Yes, he has. The team won it. They beat a good Lake Superior team, and I went down and saw the one game. The first game, they got off flying, and then they struggled a little bit to the end, but they held on to win that one. Ron Mason is a great coach.
Yeah. All right, as we continue to catch up, since I've been off the program these last few weeks, Dantley, Aguirre, the Pistons, and more, as we talk about pro basketball in our next segment right after this. You can leave now.
In other
not
words,
knowing anything about pro
it's me and
basketball.
Paige doing the show is what we're trying to tell you folks.
It's a new generation of Oldsmobiles.
At Al Dietrich Olds GMC Trucks,
Choose from a great selection of Oldsmobiles.
including Cutlass Supreme and the restyled Cutlass CL.
Or hundreds of GMC trucks in stock.
Complete with an Uncle Al price that can't be beat.
For sales or service.
Let Uncle Al come through for you.
This is the new generation of
East of the Pontiac Airport.
On M59 in Waterford.
If you're a sports fan, you should subscribe to this magazine, Sports Fans Journal, and here's how. Our monthly columns include Ernie Harwell, George Kell, Dick Vitale, Denny McClain, George Allen, Bob Feller, Jimmy Carson, George Blaha, Bill Gadsby, and a whole lot more. Sports Fans Journal is available at newsstands and bookstores. To subscribe, call our 24-hour hotline at 751-1818. Sports Fans Journal, a must for sports fans living anywhere in Michigan or the U.S. Call now, 751-1818.
I'm sorry, she's out of the office for the day and there's no way to contact her.
With a pager from TCOM, you could contact her anytime.
I know it's an emergency, but it's out of the building now. May I call you later?
With Motorola pagers from TCOM, you can deal with emergencies now.
I'm sorry, our delivery man is on call right now. We won't be able to help you till tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Fred Wetzel with TCOM Paging. If these problems seem familiar to you, then you need a TCOM pager. You'd be surprised how affordable they are. Probably wonder how you've done without one. Give us a call at 559-6826.
We're back on Sports View with no guest today. Bob Page is back in town.
Yeah, I'm basically
What am
the
I
guest
gonna
on
say?
my own show here because, as I said, I've been off it for
My
Now,
show.
in all fairness, I was snowed in at LaGuardia
Oh,
last
yeah,
week, and I
snowed
couldn't get
in.
out of New York to get back. So once again,
There's
it
the
was
snowed in, folks. You want to put the camera.
Fantastic.
Ooh, there's the snowed in.
Fantastic being away from Ron Cameron for almost
That's
a
the
month
snowed
now.
in.
So we're catching up. What did you have to say on Dantley for Aguirre?
It could be a good trade for the Pistons, but I didn't like the fact that the chemistry, I think there's going to be some dissension on the team, and I think that's going to cost them the championship, the fact that they got too many egos here.
Who is going to beat the Detroit Pistons for the championship? Your Utah Jazz with
Yeah.
your hero John Stockton? Is that right?
I think Stockton.
They ain't going to be the Lakers.
Pistons
pal.
don't have a John
they're
Stockton.
They're not going to be the Lakers. No, all they got is Isaiah
Yeah,
Thomas.
although Isaiah.
Enough said.
Well, just look at the stats. That'll tell you right there.
The Detroit Pistons for the last year and a half now have been the best basketball team in the world. They should
Show
have
me
won.
rings,
They should have
Bob.
won the championship.
Show me rings.
They should have won the championship last year.
They could have won it. They could have won it. But again,
knows
should have.
that.
You don't win championships by should have.
As we take this
is
program,
gonna
they've
be
won 7 straight.
Hey, this is going to be one heck of a playoffs. Unlike other years when you could just about concede the Lakers in Boston, change the last couple of years and put the Pistons in there. You got 6, 7 teams that could win it this year.
I hated to see AD go because I liked him personally. Did a nice job here, everything that was asked of him. And I think for Adrian Dantley, kept his mouth shut fairly well as his minutes and his production tended to diminish. But if you look at Mark Aguirre, you look at a guy who's, 4 years younger than Dantley, plays the game basically the same way. And I'll never forget sitting in the Dome, must have been maybe 4 years ago. Dallas was in town, and I watched Aguirre fill it up for something like 22 points in the opening quarter. Awesome. He's so quick in that low post. The guy can play the game.
The
He
guy
flat
can
out
play the game, but
and
the
if he's
guy
not gonna
has
be
an
happy with, if
ego.
he's not going to be happy with Isaiah, he's never going to be happy.
Well, I think you're going to have your clicks on the team. You have your Isaiah,
You might be right.
you have your Isaiah, Aguirre, and maybe Lambeer, and then you got the other side of Dumars, Sally, Rodman, and things like that. That like Dantley.
Yeah.
You could have some problems.
I mean, I know that AD was Joey Dumar's best friend on the team.
You could have some
Yeah.
problems
But
here
I
down
think-
the clutch.
but as to- but-
but again, on a trade like this, if he comes to play, he could win a team a championship this season.
I think that Joe Dumars is an intelligent enough guy to realize that. And I think Joe is going to try to, minimize any kind of conflict that could arise because of that situation.
Well, the thing is, Isaiah made the trade, despite his denials. He made.
That's
the
what
trade.
people are saying. So he should be the executive of the year in the
That's
NBA.
what
If
I
Al
read.
Bianchi in New York doesn't
Yeah, I
get it
saw
right.
that.
Now I see that
I don't agree with. Hold on a minute. Before you say that, I don't believe that Al Bianchi should be executive of the year. I don't like that Vanderway trade at all. I don't think he's a Nick type player. I think he's a Moody type
not a
player.
Nick type
no,
player.
No, he doesn't run that well.
Sure does.
No, he doesn't
He
run
sure
it. Oh,
does.
come off it.
Then you don't even know.
Are you
then-
shilling?
then
Are you shilling?
Then you've never seen the guy
He
play
couldn't
before.
guard you.
That's
The
why.
pressing defense, he couldn't guard you. He's got no
played
defense.
with Denver, where they don't play any defense to begin with. All those years.
We're bo-
That's why people thought that he couldn't play any defense. That's ridiculous.
He floats in the defensive end like crazy, and he's not a necktie player.
Well, at
Doesn't
any
hustle
rate,
him. Doesn't hustle
it's
him.
not just the Vandeweghe deal, though, of course. He got him for nothing, Ron. He got him for nothing.
Well,
a number
yeah.
1 draft choice. Picking
think-
up Oakley, stealing him for that stiff Bill Cartwright.
I agree with
Drafting
that,
Rod
but I
Strickland
agree
where
with you
everybody
there.
else passed on
I don't
Strickland.
agree with you. It's just Strickland's got some problems.
Well, the kid's a very good ball player.
Yeah, but he
a
doesn't
very
know what
good
time the
ball
games
player.
are, what time practice is, or anything
He had
else.
problems making practices.
Yeah, well,
at
all right
DePaul
then.
and here. Hadn't been a problem since. Has not been a
Well,
problem
I've heard
since.
he's had some
But
problems
anyway, I
since.
see that Lambier and Mahorn are now whining in the paper.
This is pitiful.
That
Talk
Rod
about-
Thorne is picking on the
Isn't this
Pistons. Now, look,
ridiculous?
Now, I like Billy personally, and I've got a good relationship with him, and I think with Ricky too. I like them both personally, and I respect them as players. But they are, and I've said this before,
Crybabies.
they're not only crybabies, they're thugs.
Yes, they are.
Lambier and Mahorn Billy Lambier, and I've seen it time and time again, deliberately tries to hurt people. I saw him take Dominique in a playoff game 2 years ago and slammed him down into the wood. He tries to hurt people. That's the rap.
And
If
then
the
they
shoe
talk
fit-
about
if
preferred
the shoe
treatment
fits,
and all
wears
that
it.
stuff, and the other teams get the preferred treatment. He had to kiss the ground. If the referees or anybody had off the Pistons, they wouldn't be where they are right now.
Anyway,
Unbelievable.
Billy Lambier and Rick Mahorn can play for my team any day. And I like
you have a team, Bob?
And I like them.
You
yes,
have a team?
My team's the Detroit Pistons. I've been telling you that for 2 years,
But
pal.
Bob, what about
2
those
years.
Knicks?
Knicks are
Are you telling me on
outstanding.
the show you're not going to show for the
Knicks
Knicks
are
now that you're
outstanding. I
in New
don't
York?
shill for anybody, pal.
Well, Yankees you're
Except-
selling for? And we're going to
Is
talk
that
about
right?
that in the next
Yeah,
segment.
fine. But anyway,
We'll talk about that in the next segment.
at any rate, we got to close the NBA segment here with some of the trades that went down. I got a kick out of this. Herb Williams goes to Dallas for Detlef Schrempf. I didn't understand. I'm sorry, he goes to Indiana for Detlef Schrempf. Goes to Dallas for Detlef Schrempf.
Yes, you had it right.
Had it right the first time.
Yeah, have another drink, Bob.
But here's
Those airports in New York.
Here's this guy, Norm
serve those drinks.
Sanju. Norm Sanju makes the deal, the Dallas VP, and is crowing about it being the worst trade in NBA history, laughing about it. This is the guy that traded Dale Ellis. Dale Ellis, one of the great scorers in the NBA today, in exchange for Al Wood. I had a conversation.
Al Wood had some tools in
I had a
college.
conversation with Norm Sanju on the telephone 7 years ago. I'll never forget this, when the NBA draft was coming up, and I found out that they were going to take Aguirre with the number 1 choice. I said, "Are you telling me you're going to pass on Isaiah Thomas?" I said, "Who's going to run your team? You don't have a player at the point position." He says, "Well, we like Brad Davis." I said, "Oh, you like Brad Davis instead of Isaiah Thomas?" So, you know, what the hell, Pistons get to the championship
We got
last
some
year,
baseball to talk next segment.
No, we got a
Should be
couple more
interesting.
trades here, too. And speaking of airhead trades, Sacramento, did you like that deal? They trade Pinckney and Klein to Boston for Lohaus and Danny Ainge. And I'm a Danny Ainge fan. I like him. But Danny Ainge gets there, and it means Sacramento's got 4 off guards on the roster and 1 center, the immortal Jim Peterson from Minnesota.
And he's not a center at all. He's a
some of
power
these guys are
forward.
thinking about.
He's not a center.
Yeah. Larry Bird, still out. I don't know why the Celtics continue to talk about, well, another week, maybe another 2 weeks. Work him out, maybe he'll be okay. What's the rush? The
Because
Celtics
they're
aren't
dying-
going anywhere.
They could
They're
be
not
tough
going
in
to
the
go anywhere
playoffs
with Larry.
Well,
With
they'll be
with
tough in
Larry,
the
they're not
playoffs.
going to
They're
go
not gonna win it,
anywhere.
but they're going to be tough in the
Well,
playoffs.
at any
with
rate,
Bird.
they ought to just let him take the year off and relax. Log it. This kid Lewis has played well in his absence.
He
Give him
has,
some
but
more
they
minutes.
need some outside strength, and they're going to move Lewis to the backcourt when Bird comes back.
And did you notice the L.A. Clippers, until they beat Cleveland the other night, what they had done recently? Did you? Of course, I know you're too busy selling the magazine. Do you know that the Clippers had lost 32 of their last 33 leading up to that game? Can you believe that?
I know they
And they fired Gene Shue, thinking that's going to. They said, well, what do people think about in the NBA? Gene Shue's a fine coach, fine basketball man. They get rid of him, thinking that he's going to turn around.
They got Benoit Benjamin.
One of the all-time classic woof-woofs of that league,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Ralph
All right.
Sampson, there's a few of your boys.
Okay, we're going to go to another commercial break
You want to
right
trade
here.
Isaiah for Ralph Sampson? Talk
La-
about trades.
ladies and gentlemen.
That's Bob Page, Isaiah for Ralph Sampson.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's take a break.
Get ready. Mr. Cameron is going to bestow his NCAA picks upon you next when we come back
And some
after
baseball.
this.
It's time to eat and I'm so hungry now. My stomach's turning upside down. Day or night when I want a bite, I want the best little burger in town. French fries, onion chips, creamy chocolate shakes, baby, they're so hard to refuse. For dinner or lunch, there's a lot too much, and for breakfast you just can't lose. Little day in Top Hat, make it quick, stop at Top Hat.
That was me, John Rouser, not too many years ago as a defensive back with the Pittsburgh Steelers after my playing career at the University of Michigan had ended. Now I'm proud to be co-owner of The Sting, Detroit's most dynamic nightclub. We've got continuous live DJs, continuous videos, and live entertainment every weekend. But you don't have to disco. The Sting is also a great after-work place to meet other professional people who frequent our lounge. So stop in and see us at The Sting. We're in the old Playboy Club, the lodge at Greenfield, with plenty of lighted, secured parking.
Hey, where's the meat?
It's right here at Cattleman's Meat Center, where you can buy fresh, lean, top-quality beef, pork, veal, poultry, even fish. Packing house style. Save up to 40%. Quality guaranteed.
Where's the meat?
Come inside our 3,500 square foot cooler for everyday low prices like
this week, Packing House style standing ribs. Cut your way free.
Cattleman's Meat Center, Eastern Market area, and Hamtramck. No limit. Save up to 40%.
You said it, honey.
We're back on Sports View. No guest today.
Right, now we're just talking in the break here about a pair. I haven't had a chance to see the Tigers exhibition games on TV. Kellen Kaline have some new favorite pet names to play with now.
Well,
They're having a field day with Al Padrique. Is that the idea?
Padrique. And,
what do they call him?
Pariki or something. Pariki or something. I like Lavelli. Lavelli.
Torrey Lavella, they call him Lavelli.
Lavella.
Yeah. George had problems with that last year, too.
Yeah, well, I guess he was called Lavalo or something a couple
like
times.
Kaline called him Lavulo.
Lavulo.
Unbelievable. All right, college basketball now. You have been busy studying the
Studying what picks are which. You know, you got
all
so
I
many
have to
different
say is I've spent the last 4 days at Madison Square Garden in New York covering the Big East tournament.
Give me your picks first.
And I have seen the #1 team in college basketball. Georgetown is awesome. Okay. They got no matter what you think of John Thompson personally, and I have a lot of problems with the man. He's an outstanding coach. He's got not one.
You just said, but last couple shows ago when you were here, that he wasn't an outstanding
with the
coach.
Olympic team, he embarrassed himself. But in terms of his own ball club, molded in his own image, he does a great job with Georgetown. He's got not one but two big-time shot blockers and intimidators.
They're in the
middle.
weakest bracket.
Well, maybe. But anyway, he's got a big, strong power forward. He's got guards galore. Charles Smith is a great little ball player. They dismantled everybody in that Big East tournament, including Syracuse on Sunday afternoon. Syracuse is a good ball club. I like Georgetown to win.
Okay. All right. You start with the East. You like Georgetown. I think Georgetown in a romp. Let's go to the West.
All right, let's go to the West.
You give me your pick first, and I'll give you mine.
I think that Arizona, the top seed in the West, basically has got to win there. I like Arizona, and Ricky Birdsong, by the way, the UD coach, is on our next show. He was a longtime assistant there. He'll have a lot to say about that. But I like Arizona out west.
I like Arizona having some problems, but ultimately beating Indiana. Indiana's coming.
Yeah,
it's been too tough down.
Which shouldn't be there. Now in the Midwest, to my way of thinking, Ronnie, I mean, if you win the Big Ten championship, you're the #1 seed in the Midwest. How can they possibly give that to Illinois? They say, well, Illinois played better at the end of the year and so on and so forth. I think one of the things working against Indiana, I don't know if anybody's discussed this, and it may be mere conjecture on my part, Bobby Knight's image is so rotten and has so many people who hate his guts, rightfully so in sports, that they took a look at that Midwest thing and said, we're not going to send that guy to the Hoosier Dome to play.
On the other
we're going to get him out of there.
You've got some prominent, now let's go the opposite way, you've got some prominent writers, syndicated columnists, and then said, I think Al McGuire said the NCAA is afraid of Bobby Knight, they'll be seated #1 because of that.
Maybe so.
You got 6 of one, half a dozen.
But I don't think it's right. I think they should have been the #1 seed.
That's a good Illinois team. That's a good Illinois team.
The best he's ever had.
They could get out.
Except for the fact
that
I just do not believe in Lou Henson. And again, they're not very big. They're not very big.
But they're very strong.
They're quick,
good athletic,
great athletes.
Yeah. And with Gil coming back, I like Arizona coming out of there. And let's go over to the Midwest.
We just did the Midwest.
Or Syracuse. No, I like. Let's go to the West. We did West. You like Arizona over Indiana?
Yes.
Okay. Now I like Syracuse over Illinois. I think Syracuse. I look at Owens, the freshman, done a great job for him. And I look for Coleman, great player. And I look for maybe one of the best, if not the best point guard going today, Douglas. He has a flair for the dramatics.
Right. Okay, now you're going to let me, because I know what I'm talking about.
Go ahead. Good. You know what you're talking about.
I've seen Syracuse in person this year a half dozen times. Billy Owens, to my way of thinking, has been a little bit of a disappointment, considering the fact that the Eastern media made this kid out to be the second coming of Christ. He spends too much of his time clanging 18-foot jump shots off the back of the iron. Great athlete, great player. The greatest high school basketball player in America last year, and maybe for the last I don't know how many years, is Chris Jackson. He's one of the most phenomenal talents I've ever seen in my life. But he came out of Mississippi. And because he didn't play in front of the Eastern media, it was nothing but Alonzo Mourning and Billy Owens and Alonzo Mourning and Billy Owens.
Jackson, who's taken
He's unbelievable.
unbelievable
He's
freshman.
unbelievable.
And because he worked, he was cut from his high school team.
Yeah, all right. I'm not a big Jim Boeheim fan. I don't know either of those teams could win. They're both outstanding. Oklahoma now to finish it out.
Now this may be the toughest bracket of all, the Mideast. Michigan, North Carolina, and
Michigan going to be tough, or are they going to lose to Xavier?
No, they're not going to lose to Xavier. You're going to pick them to lose to Xavier. Come on, make a statement here right now.
Nah, they'll get by Xavier.
Oh, and what about Alabama, South Alabama?
Well, I presume that Alabama's going to win that game, though. I think didn't I see Vitale say South Alabama could be a real sleeper team in that tournament? And you don't think they're going to be talking about that game in the state of Alabama this week?
Okay.
Do you?
All right. If they go that far, step further. They'll beat
Michigan
Alabama
versus North Carolina. You're talking about?
I'm talking
eventually.
beyond.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
We got to wrap this up.
I think they're going to beat North Carolina.
Right. Michigan will beat North Carolina this year?
Michigan will beat North Carolina.
For Frieder's sake, to keep some heat off him, I hope so. We still haven't talked about any baseball, let alone Danny Cox shoving the cameraman in the airport last week, an airhead move that was. Though I understand, not to excuse his behavior, he was upset because he knew how serious his arm was. He's out for the season, may never pitch again with that medial collateral ligament damage. We got to talk about baseball before we close the show out. So let's come back, and we'll do that.
We're not going anywhere.
Right after these messages.
Staying right here. You come back.
And 2 and 3 and...
Could you save a life if you had to?
2.
Tens of thousands of all heart attack deaths could be prevented if everybody knew Red Cross CPR.
1.
That's why the Red Cross offers classes in this life-saving procedure. Not just at their local chapters, but right where you work. Learn how to save a life. Call the American Red Cross.
Iserman, Klima, Probert and Company launched their high-powered assault on the ice of the NHL throughout the winter months on past. Make a point on joining Jacques Demir's squad as they clash with the league's elite in their quest for a second straight Norris Division Championship and a shot at the Stanley Cup. So check out all the thrills, all the spills of the NHL as the Red Wings electrify the ice in the race for the cup on Michigan's cable network of champions. Pass.
Binary Computers is celebrating their 9th anniversary, and how they've become one of Detroit's top independent computer dealers is really simple. A great selection of brand name computer products, outstanding service, and highly knowledgeable trained consultants who make things understandable in plain English. Binary now has facsimile machines and telephone systems, so stop in for special anniversary savings at Binary Computers, Metro Detroit's business computer center, Woodward at 12 Mile, Berkeley. Remember, if you haven't got a computer, you'd better get one before your competitor does.
What do these women have in common? They were all Girl Scouts. Girl Scouting showed them that they could do or be anything. An ambassador to the United Nations or an Olympic champion. Girl Scouting inspires girls to dream big and prepares them to meet the challenges of a demanding adult world. Your daughter should be a Girl Scout. She'll be in very good company, and she'll get the right start.
We're closing it out on Sports View. We're not going to talk baseball this show. We're going to do it next program. Let's
Out of
continue
time.
on the
We got to
NCAA.
apologize to viewers for the laugh track that drowned out half of the commercials right there. That came into being when Ron Cameron told us on the set that he's picking Syracuse to win it all in
You're
college
picking
basketball
Syracuse.
this year.
And
Is
you're
that
picking
right?
Georgetown,
I'm
huh?
picking Georgetown to win it all.
Typical Bob Page, no
Only
guts.
chance
I'm going
Syracuse might have is
Syracuse.
if Georgetown does win the East and Arizona wins the West. They play one another.
That's going to be a heck of a game.
It should be very interesting. Anyway, Ricky Birdsong, again on our next program, we'll talk a lot about that. Want to thank our sponsors.
Talk a lot about what?
Pass.
Talk a lot
College
with him, you mean.
basketball.
Yeah. You didn't say
Top
college
Hat Hamburgers,
basketball.
Binary Computers, The Sting, Sports Fans Journal, Cattleman's Meat Center, Al Dietrich Olds, GMC Truck. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.